What's up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. It's your boy Avin Plays, bringing you guys the latest and the greatest on all things gaming. And today we're gonna talk about the best settings to maximize your Wizarding World experience, that is Hogwarts Legacy. So without further ado, I would greatly appreciate if you guys were to hit the like button, drop a subscribe, and let's get on to the video. Alright, so before we go into Hogwarts Legacy, let's talk about the console settings. So these settings are on PS5, but for those with an Xbox, you should be able to mirror these settings. So now when it comes to video output, majority of all your settings should be set to automatic. So that means the resolution, VRR, and 120 Hz output if your TV supports it, 4K video transfer, and so on and so forth. But if you don't have a 4K TV, or if your TV doesn't support VRR, you should still put the settings that your TV does support on automatic just to maximize your performance when it comes to playing Hogwarts Legacy. But for those who do have a TV that supports VRR and 120 Hz output, it's best to have a HDMI 2.1 cable just so you can maximize those two settings. Now let's go on to HDR. When you're adjusting your HDR, if your TV supports HGIG, then go to your dynamic tone mapping settings in your TV and set your dynamic tone mapping to HGIG and then adjust your settings. And when you're adjusting the HDR, you want to go 14 clicks up for the first two settings that are prompted to you, and for the last one, which represents a black screen, go all the way down to the bottom. And that will maximize your HDR settings. And when you adjust your HDR settings, Hogwarts Legacy will automatically optimize and calibrate your HDR for the game itself. Now, when it comes to RGB range, if your TV supports auto black level, then your RGB range should be set to automatic. If your TV only has low or high black level, set your TV to low black level and then set your RGB range to limited just so your console and your TV can be in sync. Now, with that being said, let's go on to sound. So sound can really make or break your experience when it comes to gaming. And in Hogwarts Legacy, there are so many little details in sound, from walking on concrete to walking on a bridge, for the different sound effects you get from doing different spells, different conversations happening above you, in front of you, behind you, and also the soundtrack. Man, this soundtrack is amazing. You get that nostalgic Harry Potter feeling. But enough of me talking about it. Let me give you guys a little snippet of the soundtrack in Hogwarts Legacy.
And why should I be impressed anyway? Anyone can find a dead person to look at. She's a little liar.
And with that, let's go into these sound settings. So with sound, you want to make sure your output device is set to HDMI, because that will give you the best sound. And for HDMI device type, we have three different options. We have TV, soundbar, and AV amplifier. So for those who are going to use their TV as their sound setting, you want to look for audio format, whether it's on PS5 or Xbox, and set it to LPCM. And also, if you guys want, there's a setting where you can actually imitate 3D surround, which is 3D for audio on the PS5. Hopefully it's on Xbox as well, I'm not too sure. So going forward, when it comes to having a soundbar or AV amplifier, the best choice for HDMI device type is AV amplifier, just because number one, you can change the number of channels you have for your AV amplifier or your soundbar, and number two, you can adjust the speaker's positions, so you can actually choose the angle at which you want your speakers to be, which is really cool. Now, when it comes to audio format, the best audio format is LPCM by far, just because it has uncompressed sound. Now, to get that uncompressed sound, you have to make sure your devices support HDMI eARC. So your TV and your soundbar has to support HDMI eARC just for you guys to get LPCM. If it doesn't, you will be getting stereo. Now, in my opinion, it's best to connect your console to your TV if you have HDMI 2.1, and also connect your soundbar to your TV via eARC. So that way you can utilize HDMI 2.1 for VRR and 120 hertz output, and you'll also be getting LPCM, which will be great. So you're getting 2 for 1. So if you guys need, any suggestions or any help constructing your setup, whether it's connecting your console to the soundbar or your AV amplifier or connecting it to the TV, you guys can drop a comment down below and I'll try to answer you guys as best as I can. Now, when it comes to audio format, there's a soundbar where, VZO Elevate specifically, where it will go into a power saving state and it will switch your audio output from LPCM to stereo. And there will be times where the dialogue will actually disappear and you wouldn't hear nothing within cutscenes. So to help maximize your experience, if you have a VZO Elevate, I would recommend using DTS as your audio format, just because whenever you guys get into a cutscene, you'll know for sure that your audio won't cut out. There'll be dialogue whenever you're going through a mission. So in my opinion, it's best to use DTS as your audio format if you have a VZO Elevate. If you don't, and your soundbar or AV amplifier supports HDMI or you get LPCM, then by all means use LPCM. And with that being said, let's go on to game preset. So now, when it comes to game presets, I'm not sure what it's called on Xbox, but on the PS5 it's called game preset. So you want to go to where it says performance mode or resolution mode and set that to game default. And what that does, it will allow you to change between the different modes within Hogwarts Legacy. Now we can go to Hogwarts Legacy and check the settings out. So for performance mode, I believe balance is the best performance mode because you get the best of both worlds. At the end of the video, I'll show you guys a snippet of all the modes. So now for HDR calibration, once you adjust your settings on your console, Hogwarts Legacy actually adjusted your calibration for you. So these settings aren't set in stone. You could change them if you want to. The only one I would change is HDR brightness. For me, mine was at 25 and I brought it up to 30. You could do the same or leave it at 25. Now for cap frame rate, if you're playing on Xbox, you can actually leave this off, but for PS5 players, you have to leave this on just to reduce stuttering. Motion blur, you could turn that off. Depth of field, you could turn that on or leave it on. Chromatic aberration, turn that off for sure. Film grain, you can leave it on or off. It all depends on you. Now when it comes to audio, me personally, I like to leave dialogue all the way up and then reduce the sound effects and volume just so I can hear all the conversations and everything going on. Now, when it comes to difficulty, you have easy, normal, hard, and story. For camera access, I recommend leaving these off, but you can turn them on if you like the inverted camera. But for camera relative targeting, it is best to leave this off just so you can target off-camera targets, which was really good. Now, for camera sensitivity, it's best to put this to the max and then lower camera acceleration. So this will give you complete control of your camera, especially while you're in combat, which is really, really good. For aiming acceleration, I didn't really see a difference between it, so I left it at 1. You can also put it down to 0 if you feel a difference, but that's up to you if you want to. Me personally, I didn't feel anything that was different, but for sure, camera sensitivity on 2 and then camera acceleration on 0. Now for your accessibility options, these are all up to you. If you want to switch the sticks, make it left hand or right hand, leave it anything normal. For accessibility, the two things that I like the most was map transparency and mini-map pathing. So the mini-map pathing, that will actually show you the guide within the map, and the transparency, will reduce the actual map itself. So now when it comes to these user interactions, this is all up to you depending on how immersive you want to be within Hogwarts Legacy. So for me personally, I leave HUD tracking on just so I can see all the icons because I play without the map. For the standard notifications, you can leave those on or off depending if you want to see, your XP level show up whenever you get a new XP level. Also, for the spell HUD, me personally, I have to leave it on until I can get used to using the controls and knowing the different cooldown timing and so on and so forth. So for the spell HUD, you can leave it on. If you want to leave it off, you can leave it off for full immersiveness. So for health and ancient magic meter, you can for sure leave this off because the game itself will tell you when you need to heal. You will see markings on the actual game itself. Whenever you get hit, you will see red, and if your health gets really low, you'll see it says tap to heal. Also with HMX meter, you can't use it until you see L1 and R1 pop up. So for those two, you can leave it off. For the minimap, you can also leave the minimap off, just because within Hogwarts Legacy, if you tap the directional up button, it will actually guide you to your next mission. So what you can do, you can go into the map, you can set the waypoint to where you want to go, and then once you get off the map, tap the directional button up, and it will take you to where you want to go. So for enemy targeting and target info, I turned this off once I learned how long it takes to actually kill an enemy or the animations of when they actually die. For the tool hood, you can turn it off as well. And this is how my gameplay actually looks whenever I play the game. So usually I will leave the spell hood on, and then I will sometimes either leave the quest notification on, or I'll turn it off and use the hood tracking. So here's a little snippet of what my gameplay looks like whenever I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. And when I want to fully immerse, I just turn off all the settings and I only use the tracking system to get me to where I want to go. So to use the tracking system, all you need to do is go to maps, set a waypoint, and once you leave the map, press the directional button up and you will see the field guide you to where you need to go. So that concludes the end of this video. If you guys have any questions, drop them down within the comment section and I'll get back to you guys. Also, watch out for my next video. I'll be showing you guys all the performance modes so that you guys can choose which one's the best one for you. So, but for now, like the video, subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys at the next one.